All right. Let's dive into something I think we all struggle with from time to time, self-motivation.
Yeah, for sure.
We asked you guys to send over some books you'd like us to deep dive into, and 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself was one that popped up. And
And a lot of people
yeah,
suggested that.
yeah, sometimes even wanting to get motivated is a struggle, but that's why we're here, to sift through and find the gold, right?
Yeah, and what's interesting is this book goes beyond, like, the surface level, like, just tips.
Right.
It actually unpacks the psychology behind why some things work and some things don't. We'll connect those dots for you today.
Okay, so the book opens with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Honestly, the story is fantastic.
I know, right?
So picture this. Arnold, already a bodybuilding champion, he says, I'm going to be Hollywood's biggest star.
And this is, back when his accent was even thicker. I mean, he wasn't exactly known for his, dramatic range.
No, it seemed audacious, right? Like, is this guy for real? But this is where it gets really interesting. He used the same visualization techniques that he used in bodybuilding,
Yeah.
but applied them to acting. He created this vivid mental picture of himself. He's accepting awards, he's starring in blockbusters.
And it wasn't just like, oh, I'm just going to daydream about this. He's like, no, I'm going to live as if this future is already true.
Right.
And this goes back to what the book talks about, creating a true lie.
Yeah.
You're basically feeding your subconscious this new reality, even if it seems, totally fantastical at the beginning.
And it worked. I mean, this wasn't just a lucky break.
Yeah.
This was a strategy. So for you listening, I mean, what would the future you be doing, feeling, achieving? Think about it. Get specific.
The main takeaway here is that your subconscious mind is so incredibly powerful. By constantly visualizing, you're essentially programming it to work towards that. It's like planting a seed, and then you watch it grow.
Okay, so we have this mental movie playing. Now, how do we actually make it happen? So that's where mastering our minds comes in, right?
Right. Well, the book quotes Napoleon Hill, who said the key to riches is self-discipline over your own mind.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just battling negativity constantly, how can you get anything done?
It's like trying to drive with the parking brake on.
Yeah.
You're just like inching forward, but you're not going anywhere fast.
Right, right. So how do we release that brake? So the book talks about bouncing your thoughts. This isn't about like ignoring the negative. It's about actively choosing to be more optimistic.
It's like training your brain to actually look for those silver linings.
Yeah.
At first, it might feel forced,
Right.
but with time, it actually becomes a habit. And this is what's really powerful, because this isn't just some feel-good affirmation stuff.
Right.
Studies show that positive self-talk can literally change neural pathways in your brain, lead to greater resilience, even improve performance.
Well, and I can attest to that. Like personally, I used to be like a world-class worrier.
Yeah.
But, when I started to consciously shift to like solutions, possibilities, my entire perspective changed.
Yeah.
It took some effort, but it was like a game changer for me.
It highlights that self-motivation is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
It's an ongoing process. And speaking of journeys, the book isn't about just white-knuckling your way to success. It's about having fun along the way.
Okay, now that's a concept I can get behind. But, how do you find fun in doing your taxes?
Right. Or cleaning the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean...
So this is where the book's take on creativity comes in.
Okay.
It's not about being the next Picasso.
Right.
It's about finding like these unexpected approaches to things, adding a little like element of surprise to the mundane.
So instead of scrubbing the tub, I'm like, battling bathroom grime, like as a superhero.
Exactly. It sounds silly, but that shift in perspective can make a world of difference. Remember the quote, if it's not fun, you're not doing it right.
I love that.
Yeah. So like blast some music, turn chores into games, find a way to make it your own.
So we've got the vision, we're working on our mindset, we're injecting some fun. What's next?
Now, we need to actually turn these dreams into action. The book emphasizes building momentum through a track record of success.
Which seems kind of counterintuitive, right? Because if I'm struggling to even get started, how can I possibly have a track record?
Well, it's all about those small wins. It's those little tiny steps that actually lay the foundation for bigger achievements.
Right.
The book uses this analogy of learning to use a computer.
Okay.
You can't just affirm your computer skills. Like, you need to actually engage with the process, click by click, keystroke by keystroke.
So gotta show up.
Yeah, exactly. Show up even when you don't feel like it.
Even when you don't want to. Yeah.
Take those baby steps. And then as you accumulate these small wins, something magical happens. You start to build confidence, you gain momentum, and then all of a sudden those bigger goals don't seem so out of reach anymore.
This reminds me of the story they tell about the author's daughter, Stephanie. I think her name was Stephanie. She had this black mark on her nose. And instead of letting it, ruin her day, she turned it into this fun game for everyone. It's such a great example of using, one small action to just shift the entire dynamic of a situation.
Yeah, and it highlights this key principle of self-motivation. It's not just about willpower. It's about creativity. It's about resourcefulness. It's about finding those unexpected solutions that can turn obstacles into opportunities.
Yeah, and that brings us to another really important thing the book highlights, and it's the power of connection and support.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't meant to do this alone, right?
No. I mean, as humans, we're wired for connection. We thrive in communities. We draw strength from each other. And the book captures this beautifully with a quote, to be is to be related.
Okay, I like that. So it's not just about our solo efforts. It's about recognizing the role of our relationships in, motivating us and helping us succeed.
Absolutely. And they even introduced this fascinating concept called relation shift. So this suggests that focusing on helping others achieve their goals can actually boost your own motivation.
So wait, by helping someone else, I'm helping myself. How does that work?
Well, think about it. When you're genuinely invested in someone else's success, it gives you this sense of purpose that goes beyond your own personal gain. It just taps into something much deeper, something more fulfilling.
So it's not just about asking for help, it's about offering it as well.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting because research shows that acts of kindness and generosity
Yeah.
actually trigger the release of endorphins in the brain.
Oh, the feel-good chemicals.
Yeah, exactly. So you're helping someone else achieve their goals and you're getting this boost of motivation at the same time. It's a win-win.
Win-win. I like that. And this makes me think about like the importance of surrounding yourself with positive people, supportive people.
Absolutely, like a cheerleading squad for your dreams, right?
Yes. Yeah, I like that.
And, it works both ways because when you're part of this supportive community, you're more likely to then offer that same level of support to other people.
It's like a cycle.
Exactly. So for those of you listening, think about who are those positive influences in your life? How can you nurture those relationships?
Yeah, how can you create a more supportive network for yourself and for others?
Exactly. And speaking of support, let's not forget the role of our own bodies in this whole self-motivation equation.
Okay. What do our bodies have to do with it? I thought it was all like mindset, willpower, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but the book actually highlights this really surprising connection between physical activity and mental sharpness.
Okay.
It's not just about, like, looking good. It's about actually feeling good and fueling your brain.
So they talk about Bobby Fischer, the chess champion, and he
Yeah.
used like swimming and fitness as strategies for his mental game.
Right. And it seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But research shows that even moderate exercise can improve blood flow to the brain. It can boost cognitive function.
Hmm.
It can enhance your mood.
So it's not just about building muscles, it's about building brain power.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything strenuous. We're not talking about running a marathon here.
Right.
A brisk walk, a yoga class, dancing around your living room, it all makes a difference.
It's about those endorphins,
Yeah,
getting that oxygen to your brain,
Yeah.
giving yourself an edge.
precisely. And it ties back to, that fun and enjoyment that we talked about earlier.
Okay, so we covered visualization, mastering our minds, finding the fun, building momentum through those small actions, the power of connection, even the role of physical activity.
But we're just getting started.
I know, this is a lot. There's
Mm.
so much more.
We haven't even talked about turning those weaknesses into strengths, embracing rejection, the importance of honesty, and the transformative power of walking in solitude.
Yeah, we covered a lot. But there's even more, which is exciting. I mean, this book is packed.
It is, and it's so good. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about turning those weaknesses into strengths.
Okay.
And what I love is that the author, he doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. He shares some really personal stories about, how he's taken things that other people might see as weaknesses and turned them into assets.
Right.
For example, he talks about his shyness.
Okay.
And instead of letting that hold him back, he used it to become this really skilled letter writer.
Well, and in today's world, that's like a lost art.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's so focused on instant messaging and, social media. That's a unique and valuable skill.
Totally. It's like he found a way to turn introversion into a superpower.
Exactly. It's
Ah.
all about reframing. And he also talks about being an older father
Hmm.
And, initially he worried about how that would impact his children.
Hmm.
But then he realized that his life experience and maturity actually made him a better parent,
Hmm.
more patient.
Right. So these are the things that, on the surface we think, oh, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And then they end up actually helping us in ways we never expected.
It's like a hidden strength. And, this kind of perspective shift is crucial when it comes to dealing with rejection,
Right.
which is something we all deal with, right?
Oh, yeah. And it's the worst.
Yeah. But instead of seeing it as a dead end, the book encourages us to see it as a challenge, as an opportunity for even greater creativity.
Okay. So instead of shutting down, we use it as fuel.
Yeah, exactly. It's about adopting this really proactive mindset.
Okay.
A tale story about the author working with Henry Brown and his son, who was a wrestler. And it just highlighted, how important it is to have a plan of attack
Yeah.
instead of just reacting to your opponent's moves.
So it's be prepared, have a plan, know what you're going to do so you're not just thrown off.
Yeah, exactly. And along with this proactive approach, the book also emphasizes honesty and integrity. But it's not about being preachy or judgmental. It's about recognizing, the beauty and the clarity that come with being truthful.
So strip away the BS. Just be real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's this real sense of freedom that comes with that.
Right.
The book quotes Nathaniel Branden. He said, one of the great self-deceptions is to tell oneself, only I will know.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Because we can't fool ourselves.
Right. You can't. Even if you can fool everyone else.
Yeah.
Honesty clears the clutter. It creates a solid foundation for personal growth. And it fosters a stronger sense of self, which is essential for that long-term motivation that we're talking about.
It's like building your house on solid ground, not on, shifting sand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of foundations, this book also highlights something that I find really intriguing.
Mhm.
It's the value of walking in solitude.
Ooh, I love this. I find it so helpful for de-stressing and just problem solving.
Me too. There's something about being out in nature, being away from all the distractions.
Right. And you can just let your mind wander. It just helps you make those new connections.
It does. The author shares these stories about how taking walks just helps them process challenges and tap into their creative energy. Those aha moments.
Hmm.
It's like they come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But often they happen when you're not even actively trying to solve a problem.
It's like your subconscious is working in the background and then give it some space and it's
And it bubbles up.
it bubbles up.
Exactly. And in today's world, with constant stimulation, digital distractions everywhere you turn, it's so important to carve out that time for solitude and reflection.
It's like you have to give yourself permission to unplug.
You do.
Yeah.
To disconnect from all that external noise and reconnect with yourself.
That inner voice. So we've explored a lot. Visualization, mindset shifts, turning those weaknesses into strengths, the power of honesty, and the importance of walking in solitude. I feel like there's a common thread here.
There is. And I think this ties it all together beautifully. Purpose, the book emphasizes this isn't something you just find out there in the world. It's something you create from within.
So it's not like you're searching for some preordained destiny. It's like you have to look inward and discover what matters to you.
Exactly. And it's a journey. It's about asking yourself those big questions. What am I passionate about? What kind of impact do I want to make? What legacy do I want to leave behind?
And those answers might change as we grow.
They do. They evolve. But the key is once you tap into that sense of purpose, it fuels your motivation like nothing else can. It's like discovering your North Star, guiding you towards a life that feels both meaningful and fulfilling.
Yeah, I love that. And that ties back to the whole self-creation thing we were talking about earlier, right?
And it does.
It's not just about achieving goals. It's about becoming the best version of ourselves.
Exactly. A life aligned with your values, your passions, your purpose. And when your actions are aligned with that purpose, that's when you really tap into that deep well of motivation. It's not about forcing yourself to do things anymore.
You're pulled towards something.
You're pulled forward by something that feels both inspiring and deeply personal.
Okay, that's powerful. And we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. But there's still so much more.
So much more. We haven't even scratched the surface when it comes to the practical tips and strategies for boosting motivation in everyday life. But we'll save that for part 3.
Ready to wrap up our deep dive into 100 ways to motivate yourself? This book is like seriously packed with great stuff.
It is. We talked about visualization, mindset, finding your purpose.
Yeah, we've covered a lot, but I'm ready to get to like the real nitty-gritty,
Let's do it.
like the actionable stuff. So
Yeah.
what can we actually do on a daily basis?
Well, one of the biggest motivation killers is worry, right?
Sure.
It can just like totally paralyze us. But this book offers a brilliant antidote.
Okay.
Replace worry with action. Yeah. So instead of, dwelling on what if this happens, you shift to what can I do about it right now?
Hmm.
And that simple change in perspective can be so empowering.
It's like instead of being passive and just like letting the worry eat you alive,
Yeah.
you're actually doing something. I
Yeah.
like that.
You're taking control. And they even suggest like a 5-minute rule.
Oh, okay.
So for every worry you have, you commit to spending just 5 minutes taking some kind of action.
It's funny how much you can accomplish in just 5 minutes.
Right.
You don't have to solve the whole problem. Just like take a step.
Take that first step. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that feeling of forward momentum
Yeah.
is crucial for staying motivated.
Right.
It's about, building that track record. Those small wins, they add up over time.
Yeah. This reminds me of another concept they talk about, running with the thinkers.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, you have your whiners who just focus on the problems, and then you have your thinkers who focus on solutions.
Yeah, it's a whole different energy, right?
Yeah.
Like thinkers are not afraid of challenges. They embrace them.
They're like, oh, a problem, great. I can figure this out.
Exactly. They see it as an opportunity for growth and innovation. It's like the
Yeah.
difference between, complaining about a flat tire versus actually getting out the jack and the spare tire and fixing it.
Exactly. And the good news is I feel like we all have that ability within us
We do.
to be a thinker. We just have to tap into it.
Yeah, it's about cultivating that proactive mindset,
Yeah.
that willingness to take ownership and find those solutions.
So I think a good thing to ask yourself is like, who are you surrounding yourself with?
Yeah.
Are they lifting you up? Are they helping you be a thinker?
Are they thinkers themselves? That's a great point.
Mhm.
And, this leads to another key point for staying motivated, and it's putting more enjoyment in.
Okay.
And the book actually makes this distinction between pleasure and enjoyment.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
interested.
So think of pleasure as something that's very fleeting and passive. It's that instant gratification you get from, like, watching TV or scrolling through social media. Indulging in a sugary treat.
Okay.
Enjoyment, on the other hand, it's more active and engaging.
Okay.
It involves, like, using your skills, facing challenges, and feeling a sense of accomplishment.
So you're like fully participating in it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's about those activities that make you feel truly alive. It could be anything from playing music, gardening, writing, learning a new language, even like playing a challenging game. It's those moments when you're completely absorbed in what you're doing and like time just seems to fly by
And those are the experiences that actually like fuel us, right? They
Yes.
keep us coming back for more.
because they tap into something deeper than just that fleeting pleasure.
So much deeper.
Exactly. So, listeners, I want you to think about what are those activities that bring you that deep sense of enjoyment? What makes you lose track of time?
Yeah, it's not about like forcing yourself to do things you hate.
No.
It's about finding those things that actually make you feel good. So
Yeah.
make time for those things.
Make time for joy.
Yes, I love that. Make time for joy. That's like a perfect note to end on.
It is. We covered a lot. From the power of visualization to the importance of finding your purpose and, like you said, putting more enjoyment into your life.
But remember, this was just a deep dive. This was just the beginning. Now it's up to you.
Okay.
Take these ideas, experiment with them, and see what works for you. Because, the path to self-motivation, it's a very personal journey.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
But by embracing the things that we've talked about today, trying those new approaches, surrounding yourself with those supportive people, and making time for the things that bring you joy, we can all move closer to that vision of ourselves as motivated, fulfilled individual.
Exactly. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep those motivation fires burning.